All right, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. How are you doing? Happy Mother's Day. I hope you all are having a fabulous day today. Get yourself a cup of coffee, grab yourself your favorite story about mom, and let's have some chit chat about the ones that brought us into this world. So I hope you're doing well. Jack Gallman, thank you for being here. Appreciate you being in here. It's good to see you. Siren, always good to see you. Thank you for being in here. I appreciate you. I don't expect tons of people in here today, um, simply because it's Mother's Day. So there's going to be a lot of things going on. So we'll see what happens. But let's go ahead and check. Hope everybody's having a good morning. What's going on, Roxzilla? How are you? Hope you're doing well. Indeed, Mother's Day is a good day. I hope everybody's having a fabulous day. Thank you for coming in. It's nice to see you. Again, I'm not expecting a ton of people, but what I am doing today is I'm going to throw this in chat. Anybody wants to come up today, we're going to be talking about moms. We're going to be talking about stories. And it's just going to be open. So I'm going to tell stories. I can tell stories the whole time if we need to, but I want to open it up to people to be able to come up and talk about their moms. Again, a couple of things about that. Keep it short, simple, clean. No stories of abuse or domestic violence or anything like that, obviously. But please come on up. Let's chit chat. If you have a story, again, click on that link. Again, it's going to be one of those where I'm going to make sure that people are verified YouTube members. I don't know who you are. I'm going to need a little bit more than just, come on up. So, but anyway, I hope everybody's doing well. So earlier, I posted a video about my mom in which I took kind of three instances that happened during my childhood and kind of put them together to where I could tell the story in a artistic and poetic fashion. So if you haven't seen that, it's about a minute and a half long. It's really easy. Um, go look at that. Go check that out. I'm really proud of my mom. She's overcome a lot, had to deal with me. And, you just have to look back and go, when I was a kid, I thought I knew more. I was smarter than I was. And now that I get older, I look back at some of her wisdom and go, uh, well, yeah, she was right about that. Or, the fact that, it was a 70s and 80s child, looking at the time frame and going, it was just the way they thought, right? It was just the way things were. Jack Gallman says, I lost my mom when I was 15. Yeah, it's unfortunate. I've had my mom's still alive. We still talk about every week. Um, but hey, what's going on, Ringmaster Ray? How you doing, bud? Good to see you. But it's one of those things where do the memories you have of your mom, because again, when your mom passes or a father passes or something at a young age, it's difficult to deal with that. So I thought I was the only one who busted his chin as a kid. Oh no. Eye split, you can still see uh the seam here. I filleted that bugger clean open. Climbing in a tree, went to step out, slipped, hit my chin on some roots and filleted that bugger. Uh Ran inside to my mom, and there were a whole bunch of parents. And we were all the kids outside playing. That's what we did back then, right? We played. We were outside. We weren't doing video games. We were outside hanging out and playing games and, riding bikes and, running through leaf piles and stuff like that. Trying not to get caught lighting little fires in the corners of of things, playing with matches and doing all the stupid thing kid do when you're young, especially back in the day. And just was climbing trees and yeah, fell out, split it. And she was like, just go play, put a band aid on it. And I was in the bathroom. One of the other kids ran and told her. So I came in. She came in and saw it. And of course, she felt horrible that she had kind of done whatever. But we laugh about it because back in the day, that's basically what it was. It was like, kids, go. This is adult time. You go do your stuff. And I was like, what do I do? Like, what do I do? But what was fun was that when the surgeon, the doctor, the ER doc was stitching it up, I told my mom I wanted to watch it. And she's like, no. The doctor's like, if he wants to watch it, I'll give him a mirror. He can watch it. So I actually sat there with a mirror and watched him stitch my chin. I was probably 6 years old, 7 years old. I couldn't have been much older than that. He was still in the 70s. But split that thing, yeah, split that all the way down. But I watched him. I watched different procedures that I've had. I've always asked the doc, hey, can I watch this? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. Sometimes take pictures of it. Sometimes they would record and film it. Other times they wouldn't. But I was always very fascinated with that. So my mom and I got to know doctors because I was always wanting to say hi. I remember Dr. Stephen Graff was my family pediatrician as a kid. And good guy. I would make up stories about being sick just so I could go talk to the doctor. Work in the medical profession now, but it was just a lot of fun. AZ Coins is in the house. What's going on, AZ? How you doing, bud? Good to see you. Thank you for being in here. SkyQuest, what's up? How you doing? I told Bifrost that you sent condolences, and she told me to tell you hi. She's here, but was up late last night hanging out with friends. But so she says hi to you. Good to see you. Thanks for coming in. I appreciate you. But anyway, there's a link in chat. If you want to come up, you do not have to put yourself on camera. You can turn your camera off and just come on audio. Again, short term, right? Little short stories about mom. Go ahead and, kind of walk through that and talk about some of the stuff. If you want to come up again, the only thing that I ask is keep it clean. And again, stories of happiness or fond memories, right? Fond memories. I don't want to be having people up here talking about, the abusive parent. So let's not go there. All right. So the other one that I had in there was a funny story, and you probably got the gist of it. Was when I was about, I think I was 4 years old, somewhere in that. I think I was about 4 years old. We lived in an apartment complex. And the lady who watched us lived in the basement. And I remember that we used to go to her house after daycare or whatever it was, and I would play Asteroids. She had an Atari, and I would just play Asteroids. And we would play, Space Invaders, and we would play Centipede, and we would play there were like different based games. The Mad Bomber or something like that, right? Where it was the one where you had to spin it back and forth and catch the little bombs that were dropping. Play Pong, just a lot of little based games. And as we were going through, my mom came and picked me up, and we lived on the top floor. It was the third floor. So we went up 3 flights of stairs, and she went to put the key in, and she's like, my key's not working. And so she puts it in, and then she heard somebody. She's like, there's somebody in our apartment. And I'm looking at her, and I look up, and I look at her, and she dunk, 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 dunk. And as soon as she knocked, she realized there's another flight of stairs. We had been in the basement. We only went up 3. We were supposed to go up 4 flights of stairs. So she picked me up, grabbed me, put her hand across my mouth, was like, "Shush, don't say anything." They come open the door. She's like, she slowly opens the door, gets in, shuts the door. Um, just absolutely hilarious. Uh, but again, just fond memories. Hey, Silver Wolverine, what's going on? Happy Mother's Day. Hope you're well. If you have a fun Mother's Day story, do me a favor, click on the link there. You're more than welcome to come on up. It's an open panel today. We're basically just going to be talking about moms and how moms have impacted our lives. I can talk for the hour if you need me to about the things with moms, but I would rather have your stories as well. So you're more than welcome to come on up if you want to. The last one in there about the Alaska wasn't me. It actually was my stepdad. And he had went to Alaska for work. And while he was up there, she had called and they were talking. And she asked, "Hey, have you seen a moose?" And he's like, "Just a bull and a cow." And she started laughing. She goes, "Leave it to him." You know, it's like, how sad is that? Leave it to him to see bovine. And he had to be like, "No, no, 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 no. A moose is a bull and a cow." So it was funny. I got so many stories, fun stories about my mom, that it's just one of those that I look back and I kind of think about all the times, both good and bad. What I care most about with those stories is back then, lessons that were learned were often discussed and cherished, right? So today we get in fights, we get in arguments over, video games or whatever. There's no lessons that are taught. We get so frustrated by things that we can't agree to disagree. We can't understand. Kids threatening parents because they hold a certain standard. You can't say or do certain things because it crosses lines. My mom is 93 in constant need of help, which my brother and I more or less gladly do. Well, Matt, again, you look at, uh, they took care of us for how many years? It's our duty to make sure that our parents are taken care of, right? Um, they bring us in, uh, change us, feed us, clothe us, bathe us. Why shouldn't we do the same for them when they're old and need our assistance, right? All too common, people just decide to give up and put them in a group home or a nursing home. And in certain cases, they need to be in assisted care because of things like Alzheimer's or dementia or things of that nature. Um, but again, family is very important. A lot of the older generation, that was the thing, is family, and a lot of that is lost. So it's important for us to make sure that we engage in that and that we support that. Some things seem like a hassle, but I remember I would be glad to do what I help. See, that's exactly right. Um, and I'll tell you what, it's just like being a parent, right? Um, there are jobs about being a parent or a kid that suck. Just period, end of story. Absolutely just suck. It's horrible to want to have to do them. It's horrible to have to take care of them, cleaning them, feeding them, changing their clothes, cleaning up the messes that they make. Um, but ultimately, it's about showing them the respect and love and care they deserve. And it doesn't matter if they're a child or a parent. Today, we're talking about mothers in particular, and because of that, I'm very glad to hear that you and your brother are taking care of your mom. I'm fortunate, both my grandmother's in an assisted living center because she has um, pretty advanced dementia. I call her, it's a new conversation every couple minutes. And it's very difficult to have those conversations. Hey, Mom. Love you. Happy Mother's Day. So his special K is my mom. So thank you for coming in. I definitely appreciate you. I'm glad you enjoyed that video. I wanted to do something nice, and so I wanted to put that up. Thanks for the invite. I can't make it up today. My mother's in the hospital. We've been having a hard time for a while. Oh man, Silver Wolverine. My prayers go out to you and your family. I pray for good health and fast recovery. So completely understand. No worries. The offer's always there. Again, know that you're not alone in this. You ever need anything, you got my email, brother. You can always chit chat. Uh, but again, having to be in a situation where you care for a parent is it's important, right? So you need to make sure that that family is there when people lose their independence, whether it be from falling, getting hurt, like especially with older people, they fall and break their hip, they need assistance, or something happens and they get old and they just can no longer do it. In case of my grandmother, it's the dementia. Uh, they need that family connection. They need their kids to be call on them. They need that love. They need to be reminded. And in the case of my grandmother, she can't remember, just minute to minute, what we've talked about or what's gone on. But every time I talk to her, she's like, "I'm so glad to hear from you." It's been a while since you talked to me, even if it's been just a day, or been a couple hours. It's been so long since I've talked to you. But again, I show her the respect that she deserves. And it's a matter of they've done what they've done. And again, mistakes made, lessons learned. Nobody's freaking perfect. So it's making sure that you take care of them. So Matt, I really appreciate uh, hearing that you're taking care of your mom, and you know um, we do what we can to help her stay in her own house, even if that eventually means I have to stay full time. She's not going to a home if I can help it. She's be where we're familiar. Yeah, see, that's not always it's not always conducive for people. If you can do that, that's absolutely phenomenal. But that's not conducive to everybody. Not everybody has the opportunity to do that, and I understand that. But it is important that you do what's best in each of your situations. No one answer in this particular case is correct, right? There's a lot of situations where you have to do what's best for the family. You have to do what's best for the person that you're trying to provide the care for. The situation that I have is when people use it as a way to pawn off a family member because they don't want to take responsibility and ownership for it. And so to see that you and your brother are working hard to make sure she's taken care of and keep her in that familiar environment, that shows a lot of respect from me, and I got mad respect for you, dude. Um, so again, wishes to your mother on this happy day, and I hope that she sees improvement and that she can stay in her home and stuff. So thanks, Matt. I appreciate you telling your story. Silver Wolverines. You said your mom's in the hospital. What's going on with mom? What's happening with her? If you don't mind saying, if you do mind saying, then obviously don't worry about it. Again, ladies and gentlemen, the link is up in chat. If you have a story, a fun little item, mom, if you want to come up here, you don't have to show your face. You don't have to turn on the camera. But if you want to come up, you're more than welcome to come up. Turn your camera off. When you come up, it'll take you to StreamYard. Just shut your camera off, put on your earplugs, and then come on in. We'll just chit and chat. What's up, Sorcerer Stan? What's going on? Good morning, brother. Hope you have a wonderful Mother's Day, either your wife or your mom. Hopefully, if you have kids, I hope they have a great day. That's not always possible, but me being retired, we can do that. I have no problem. It's best for the family to go to assisted care. Lots of people don't have the time. Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly right. And a lot of times, um, against the family's wishes, it's the better advice. Because I'm going to do something real fast, just because I don't like this particular light. Hold on. Turn that down a little bit. There we go. This light was really bright and it was blinding me from the side. Um, but again, I appreciate the fact. Now, I'm not retired, but if my mom needed to be here, then I would bring her here and do what needed to be. You know, my mom and I have had a great relationship over the years. When I was young, I didn't understand a lot of the lessons. I didn't understand what was going on. And her and I have talked a lot. But there were a lot of mistakes that she made that I got to learn from. Uh, she had to go through some rough stuff in order for me to learn some of the lessons I did. And so the least I can do is do what I can to make sure she's taken care of. And I really do what I can to take care of my mom. Um, I support her if need be. We talk all the time. If she needs to talk, we talk. You know, we do what we have to. And so my mom and I do have a good relationship. So that's a lot of fun. But I would love for one of you guys to come up and chit chat with me about your mom. Just a dude, what's going on? Hey man, I hope you're doing well. Thank you for coming in. I appreciate you being in here. But again, if you have a story that you want to tell about your mom, or if you're married and you have a spouse and they are a mom and you want to talk about some funny stuff that's happened with them, again, clean and uplifting, then go ahead and let us know. I'm going to go ahead and tell you another story that was a lot of fun. Now, I was too young to remember this, but my mom tells this story, and it involves Billy Graham. So one day, my mom is a religious person. She's a fervent believer in Christ. And so she was watching. Thanks, Mom. She was watching Billy Graham. I wish she could come up. And he was speaking to a big congregation in China. Big stadium, right? And she turned it on and she heard the Chinese guy talk, and then Billy Graham talked. And then she heard the Chinese guy talk, and then Billy Graham talk. And she was like, oh my God, I didn't know Billy Graham spoke Chinese. uh, uh, it took her a little while to realize that. Are you going to tell me? Oh, they're just fun stories. It's these stories that make us look back and go, you know, as parents, we look back at stuff and just go, oh my God, that's so funny. Uh, it's one of those things where, as a parent now, I look at some of those things and go, oh, I will never do that as a parent. Like, I will never, ever put myself in a situation where I look like that or I act like that or I do that. Then I find myself doing something and going, oh my God, I'm just like my mom. Or, oh my God, I'm just like my granddad. Or, oh my God, I'm just like my uncle. Or, oh my God. And I start to understand, like, all this stuff that happened, all these statements that were going on, and all the things that occurred. We are the sum of our experience, right? We are the sum of what we've experienced. So, a lot of fun. Silver Wolverine. Oh man, pancreatic cancer. She was able to survive after a long battle because it was caught early, but she's dealing with a blood clot in the liver. Had surgery to remove that. Procedure to remove a stent from. Holy smokes, dude. So I'll tell you what, this right here, I keep posting it, Ray. If you go back in chat, it's being posted about every 15 chats. I don't pin it in the thing, but here, I'll pin it in there. There you go. Now it's in the pin message. Yeah, I've been posting about every 15 or so chats, but there we go. But yeah, it's one of those things where your mom's a fighter, dude. I mean, like it's quite evident, quite clear. Survivor of pancreatic cancer, surviving a issue where um, looking at liver issues and now having to, have another procedure to resolve a stent that was done because of her battle with pancreatic cancer. It's insane, man. Your mom's a fighter. Your mom's a battler. Talks a little bit about um, the resolve that she has. So that tells me a lot about your mom, dude. So again, prayers and well wishes for her and for the family as you guys go through this, because just know that in this community, and that's one thing I love about this community. My wife asks me every once in a while. It's like you talk to so many of these people so frequently. You stream twice a week, or well, on Saturday and Sunday, obviously. You talk to these people. Do you know them? I'm like, actually, I know quite a few of them. Like, we talk pretty in depth. I know what's happening with their kids. I know what's happening with life. Ray! What's up, brother?
Not too much. How are you?
Good. Where you heading?
I am driving to go check on my daughter. She's in the hospital right now.
Uh-oh. What's going on?
I don't know yet. So, I want to go check on her. She's 13, so heading there and spend some time with her and see what's going on. She got admitted, what, day before yesterday? Yesterday. She got admitted yesterday. So, I want to check on her. But I was looking at the picture of your icon of your mom, and I was like, she looks just like my mom. I was like, maybe we're twins from a different life. I don't know. That was pretty funny.
Yeah, I was looking kind of at some of the pictures that I have of her, and I was like, I'm going to post that one. I think it's just one of the better ones. She has another one that I like that was in this thumbnail in the heart. That's a really good photo of her as well. But I really liked the one. But that's cool. You're going to have to post a picture of your mom so I can see that. That'd be awesome.
I used to joke around and tell all of my friends and stuff when I was in the Navy. I said, I don't know how my mom put up with me. I'm surprised she didn't take me in the backyard, just drown me and bury me somewhere.
Yeah.
Pretty honoring.
I tell everybody I was a good kid. I think she would agree to some extent. I had my issues though. I was definitely mildly problematic at times.
Me and my mom got to talking, I think a couple of years ago, and I was telling her, and I told her that story about, how, and, how I was a terrible kid. She goes, no, you were a great kid. She said, you were very curious, but you were awesome to be around. And I mean, that brought me to tears. And to hear that from my mom, so that was an amazing thing.
Now, your mom has grace because you were a terrible kid. No, it's, you look back and so we look at things. Each generation had their stuff. I would look at some of the stuff that we did in the 70s, 80s, right? I would get on my bike and I would ride 30 miles away from home to see my friends. Right? But I knew I needed to be back before dark. I lost Ray. He'll be back in a second. You there?
Yeah, I'm back.
All right. But I would ride.
That was my alarm going off to tell me to wake up because it's time for Frosty to come on.
Yeah, well, you know, yeah. I look back at some of the stuff I used to do, and like I said, I would ride 30 miles to go see friends. I would get on my bike and I would be gone. I would be gone. I would just be, um, you know, just wherever I needed to be. I just didn't want to be at home. And it wasn't that I didn't want to be at home. It was go play, right? Get out of the house, go play, go do something. And I would wake up in the morning and my mom wouldn't see me for a majority of the day. But now, man, you can't even get the kids out of the house. Like they only come out of their room to eat. They come out of their shell at uh 10 o'clock. Go! Tiger just gifted 10 memberships.
Woo-hoo.
Hey, thanks, Tiger. Let's see who got those. David Carlisle, Dell M, OC Stacker, Monkey King Medals, G. Ursi, Lurch, Anxious Stacker. How you doing, bud? Good to see you. Thomas tripped on a nickel, Coin Junkie, Tony Two Tone, and Jesse Krutenberg. All gifted memberships by Tiger Stacker. Thanks, Tiger. I appreciate you, bud. Thanks for coming in and doing that. That's awesome of you. So give me a story, Ray. Tell me about your mom. Give me a funny instance of what happened with your mom.
We were at church one day. We were part of a little tiny country church of probably about 15 people. And I'm probably about 4 or 5. And so I go outside to play. Well, I kind of just wandered off and was just playing, never thought anything about it. And there is a pond probably about a half a mile behind the church, and it's got all these reeds back there. And so for about an hour or so after church, the entire community was looking for me, and I'm just out playing somewhere. And my parents or my mom thought, for sure I went and crawled out there and drowned somewhere, just freaked out of her mind. And then I just show up and was done playing and came back to the building, and they're all just super excited. Yeah, my mom just basically snatched me up in her arms and just cried for a moment.
That's cool.
I had that. I'm trying to think of some other really. Oh, here's a great one. It's not really heartwarming, but it's funny though. Snuck off again. So my mom would make me take a nap. And so I opened up the window. I took the screen out of the window, crawled out, crawled over a 8-foot chain link fence, and went over to the neighbor's house. And I remember she was feeding me like dates and nuts and stuff like that. And we were just having a great time. Well, my mom is now looking for me everywhere. I had no idea. I was just sneaking out and didn't think she'd even notice. So she comes over to the neighbor's house, finds me there, and is just infuriated. She grabs me by the arm and she spanks me with a fly swatter all the way home because I was at. And now we just laugh. But it was more that I was so ingenious to be able to, at that age, like, put up the window, take out the screen, crawl over the 8-foot chain link fence, and go about my business, just figuring out life.
So I have a very similar story. I think sneaking out as a kid was probably one of those things. So I got 2 super chats: Tiger with a $10 super chat, and Rockzilla with a $10 super chat. Rockzilla just knocked Stan off of the stream boss. It's going to pop up here in just a second. So thank you, too. I appreciate the support. Bam! There goes Rockzilla, takes it over. All right. Well, thank you so much. But
What happens in Frosty Stream stays in Frosty Stream.
yeah, that is true. That is
I love
true.
Frosty Stream.
But
Oh,
so we lived in a house, and it was ground floor, so no worries. And I got in trouble, so I went and I was like, "Go to your room." So I went to my room, and I did the same thing. I snuck out, but it wasn't my mom that caught me. It was my older sister. And I had snuck out, crawled through this little hedge that was in our yard, because we didn't have a fence. We actually had this really tall, like 8 foot hedge. And so I crawled through this little hedge and then went down, and I was heading down because I was going to go see a friend of mine who lived on the next block over. And so while I was walking, I found a small little bag of dimes. It had like 90 cents worth of dimes in it.
wow, nice.
So we're talking, 81, 80, 81 time frame. And so a buck to a kid at a grocery store or a convenience store, man, you could get a ton of candy, like a ton of candy, right? And so I was like, well, down by the school, there was a small little shop and a Safeway. And it was maybe a mile away, right? We would walk to school, you walk down, the elementary school was there. And we weren't allowed to go like down that far. We could stay around the community and play and whatever, but so I get down, I have 90 cents, I'm going to go do this, and my sister Ray comes around the corner of the grocery store and goes, "Did mom send you?" I'm like, "Yeah." Uh-oh, I'm in so much trouble. So I read,
Yes, she did.
I left, and I came back, and when I came back, she had, of course, she driving at the time, so I had run back, I mean, with everything that I was, and came back, and as soon as I opened my window, my sister was sitting in there and goes, "Interesting." I was like, "Don't tell on me. Don't tell on me." And they just laughed. They just laughed. I didn't get yelled at. I didn't get in trouble. Um, but it was a lot of fun. It's just kind of one of those things where, just fond memories of going through things. I remember we had this cat that absolutely liked, but found out that I was allergic to it. And but we didn't get rid of it because back in the day it was just like, well, we'll give you some allergy meds. But just going through some of that stuff and understanding it's different than it was now, right? Um,
Yeah.
I miss some of those old things and some of the stuff we used to do. Uh, I remember my mom. You guys know I do a lot of photography, lightning photography. I love to do that stuff, and I haven't done a lot since I moved to Texas. But I used to go out when I lived in the mountain states. My mom would go with me and act as my photography support. So we would go sit in storms for hours and just take photos of lightning. I've got a lot of photos of lightning that are actually quite cool. But my mom was always a very avid supporter of like photography, and we joke about golf. My mom taught me everything I know about golf, and despite that, I still learned how to play.
Yeah.
So that's a joke between her and I. But come on, everyone, hit that like button. Great idea for a stream on Mother's Day. Special thank you for my favorite mother, wifey, who raised my son, always treated like he was hers. Thanks, Frosty. Thank you, Tiger, for the super chat and for that. And again, hey, if you have a spouse who's a mom, or you have, maybe you're separated and you do co-parenting, and you have a mom who does what she needs to do, and they're out there, dote upon them right now. Throw that stuff into chat. Let people know that you appreciate and respect them. This is something that I want I want to read people's stories. I would like other people to come on up again. It's pinned up at the top. If you want to come up and tell a story, feel free to do so. Or you can just continue to put stuff into chat. We can talk about it. But there's a lot of great stories out there, and I showed. I need to pull those photos up real quick. Let me do that real fast.
Well, that's how I got into coin collecting and uh, all the stuff that I do now, like metal detecting and stuff. Um, when I was a little kid, my mom, well, it was kind of handed down from my grandfather to my mom. My grandfather owned a farm, and when he was driving on the tractor, his vision was so good, he would find arrowheads on the ground while driving the tractor.
Oh
So
wow!
he'd pick up arrowheads, and he had a little frame of arrowheads that he had from the field. So my mom had found two perfect arrowheads up until the point I was 10. And she decided, well, let's go arrowhead hunting, for real. So we started at my grandfather's farm. We didn't find anything that day. But then we went camping nearby on the river. And I found on my 10th birthday 3 perfect arrowheads and beat my mom her whole lifespan of hunting for them. She'd only found 2, and I found 3 in one day. And so it was kind of a running joke with that. But from that point on, me and my mom, we were always going, almost every weekend, we would go out hunting for arrowheads. We'd come across these old rock houses, the old settlements, find old stuff there. And then when I was, I think one of my birthdays, they got me a little handheld metal detector, kids metal bounty hunter. And we found some really neat stuff. I found coins and stuff with it, and then it finally fell apart and whatever, and I didn't ever think about it again. Until probably about 6, 7 years ago. But it created in me, doing all that every weekend, the desire to have that treasure hunting spirit. Always trying to find really neat stuff, old coins, because they had a little coffee can full of old coins they gave me. Had buffalo nickels and Indian head pennies, and I was just absolutely fascinated by all of that. And also, they had gone to a trip in Mexico and brought back all these pesos from Mexico before I was even born. And so that was in the coffee can. I guess I kind of the Mexico coins too. But yeah, it's my mom instilled that into me, that spirit of finding what was lost. And I just love her for that. And still to this day, every time I find something cool, I'm constantly texting her to share the excitement of finding something really neat with her, to just to make her feel excited about it too.
That's really cool. My mom will pop into streams periodically. She'll watch the videos and support what I do here, and she's always like, "Hey, that's a great story." My mom, are you still there? Are you still listening? So my mom has some wicked cool history, like wicked cool history. Some of the stuff that she's been around, some of the people that she's got to work through. Um, she was a she played poker for the house in Las Vegas in the 70s.
Oh wow!
So when you hear stories like the Binion horde, right? Jack
Uh huh.
Binion, Ted Binion. Um, hey, what's up, Tiger?
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, let me check the other. Okay. I must be lagging on right. Hold
Hey, Tiger, I can't hear you at all, dude. You're very, very quiet.
on. Hold on.
was little, was he part of the Cub Scouts?
Yes, I was.
He was.
I've only gone as far as Cub Scouts. I conned my dad into being the whatever it was that the guys were, the man master of the Cub Scouts, and another guy conned his mom into it. My mom couldn't be conned. They did it for 1 year and they said that's it. I was so bummed out. I did learn how to tie a tie and a few other things.
Well, they tried to get me into the Boy Scouts when I was little, but the problem was is I lived 12 miles out in the country, and everything the Boy Scouts was trying to teach me I already knew how to do. It's like I could take 2 pieces of flint, start a fire, all that stuff already, because living out in the country, I already knew how to fish and hunt and all of that, so it didn't really benefit me in any way.
So you were saying something before, Tiger. What were you saying?
I said, I lived out in the country later in life, but I didn't have the skill set that didn't have that.
Oh, I knew how to set things on fire very easily. I was kind of a little firebug. Me and my mom had built a tree house, and I was playing with a lighter, and these big old poplar trees, really tall and slender, was part of the tree house. And I sort of set it on fire and burned off half of my hair, ran into the house screaming that the tree house was on fire. My dad and grandfather were having coffee that morning, and they ran over there. They got the fire put out, and I'm screaming at the front door, screaming at my mom, "Spank me, spank me, spank me!" So I knew my dad was going to kill me. So my reasoning was if my mom already spanked me with a fly swatter, which I could tolerate, I at least knew that my dad wasn't going to kill me.
I understand that. My mom was the disciplinarian. My dad rarely spanked her. When he did, I felt it for a lot longer.
Yeah.
See, my mom let me make mistakes. My granddad was the one where he just had to go, okay, really? All right. It was like, oh no, I'm in trouble. But my mom let me make mistakes. She let me just do my thing, and she would correct me and give me guidance. And I did some bad stuff when I was a kid, but she let me make mistakes. It was less. Yeah, I can hear you better now, Tiger. It was less of. It wasn't constant punishment. But my mom made hard choices to make sure I was taken care of. Right? She made lots of sacrifices to make sure I was taken care of. So it's because of that I look back now and go, she had to give up a lot to make sure that I could be what I needed to be, and it's hard to do as a parent, especially when it means letting your kid go live with grandparents for a while, right? So I owe my mom a huge debt of gratitude for allowing me to grow. Because without that, I wouldn't have had some of the skill sets that I do now. I wouldn't have learned how to overcome. I wouldn't have learned how to answer questions and problem solve. I'm good at what I do because of what she allowed me to do when I was younger. So huge kudos to her for that.
One more thing.
You got to talk into the mic, Tiger.
I don't know. Is this any better?
Not really. You were better earlier. You got to lean into your computer. You can't be sitting back. Do you have your other mic?
not the big one. I'm in New Mexico. The big one's in West.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I got you.
I fixed the camera, hoping the mic on the camera would be better.
Well, if that's the case, then hold your camera to your face.
Okay, is that any better?
It's good. Yes.
Well, I want to throw out a big thank you to your mom. Without her, I wouldn't have such an awesome friend.
Oh, thanks, dude. I appreciate you, man. That's she's taught me a lot of valuable lessons, so I do appreciate that. I know you and I have had a lot of conversations about your dad, and so making a comment like that to me about my mom is great. So I appreciate you. So,
but I will tell you that I am really jealous over Ray's beard. I can't grow half.
well, yeah, but if you've seen Ray in person, you'll know why he has a beard. He's not that attractive.
It's to hide all those triple chins.
Okay, I need to grow a beard.
He's phone book, that's why.
If I was to hide, I would look like Wolfman Jack.
Dude, I thought you were part of ZZ Top there for a while.
Well, I was trying out, but I couldn't play the guitar, so they kicked me off. So I decided to try out for the Robinsons, because I could blow a duck call. So I'm trying to get on that show of being part of the Robinson family.
Hi, Paula. Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day, Paula. Hope you have fun at the beach.
I can hardly hear everybody. Yeah, Ray's the audio feedback from the driving is I think what's going on.
Yeah.
So no big deal. Yeah, no big deal. It is what it is. I'll just mute him. Wave at me when you want to talk.
Well, I'm gonna drop down anyway, so.
All right. Well, prayers for your girl. Do me a favor. Text me. Let me know what's going on, please.
I sure will. Thanks, bro.
All right, bud. Appreciate you. All right.
Stay tuned. Let someone else show up. I do want to put a thank you out to my mom. I was the only child for what 6 years or so. During that time, it was awesome. When my sister and brother came along, she couldn't handle being a mother to more than one child, so she was not quite right in the head. But I loved her anyway. So if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't have had a lot of the drive to force it against my original laziness to become a doctor. So I do want to thank her and my dad for installing that in me. And like I said, I really want to put a thank you out for my wife who helped me raise a son who was in his teen years when she met him. She had no mothering skills because she'd never been a mother, and she did a really good job.
Yeah, your wife and my wife have a lot of stuff in common, and I know some of the history about what's going on, and I would agree. Your wife has been an excellent mom, so I give her my best as well.
Thank you, Frosty. I appreciate it. I won't stay too long because one, other people need to speak out to their mom, and two, I'm tired from a long night shift. So
yeah, get some rest, brother.
We'll play catch up later, but I just wanted to say hi, everyone, and happy Mother's Day to all you lovely ladies out there. God bless you and all your families. Thanks, Frosty.
Thanks, Tiger. I appreciate you, bud. We'll chat with you later.
Bye-bye.
All right. Well, that was nice. Yeah, the Ray's had a lot of audio feedback from driving. That's one of the bad things about doing that. I also had turned the speakers down when he came on because it was really hot. So it was almost impossible to hear Tiger talking. So when Ray dropped off, I was able to raise it. So tried to balance that out. Probably didn't help you guys at all on your end, but I was trying to do what I could to manage that background noise. All right, Paula, you have a wonderful day at the coast. Enjoy your family. Again, thank you for all you do. a great mom and a great grandma. So I appreciate you, my friend. Have a blessed Mother's Day. Well, again, folks, you're more than welcome to come on up and hang out. I'm going to tell a couple more small stories. My mom is in here. She's still here, as you saw earlier, or you may have if you're reading chat. The picture that's in the thumbnail. Again, one thing that she really pushed me with, allowing me to grow, was she loved to support my love for astronomy, buying me telescopes, doing stuff for photography, taking me to things like the planetarium, really trying to get me engaged and doing some of that stuff. And again, incurred in me, right, instilled in me, um, boosted my curiosity. How do you do that? How do you learn? How do you resolve the research that I do when it comes to coin collecting or learning about the histories of things and being curious, asking questions? Why is that way? How come it happens that way? If I can't explain it to somebody, then I don't really understand it. My mom affectionately calls me the professor, right? um, because it's one of those things where I like to teach people the things that I learn. I think you guys get that, right? You see that in the channel. You guys see it in the storytelling that I do and stuff. But going from, I wrote the poem because poetry, my mom and I would sit and I would try to write poetry and I would bounce ideas off of her and say, hey, what what about this doesn't make sense? I got Let me grab something real quick. I'll be right back. I'm going to grab a book. It's sitting right over here. I'm going to read you a couple things, a couple poems that I wrote. And one of these was my mom and I sat, good grief, it was probably for an hour. We sat down and we kind of looked at the nuance of words. And we kind of just sat and talked about some of these things. Let me grab this. I'll be right back. It's sitting right here, and I have it. I always keep this little book handy. And this is something that was published while I was in college. I actually have a few published poems. And this one, I'll give her a lot of credit. And what the task was for me to put something together about service. And in the service of things, it could be a nature, it could be something that was a pairing of things, it could be a lot of different items. Like but what it had to do is it had to do with the coalescing of nature nurture, or the coalescing of service before self, or the correlation between doing unto others, the golden rule. And it all come down to either the community-based service, a service that we provide to further or grow nature, or something that the nature does to service and provide growth in and of itself in some sort of symbiotic nature. That was the assignment, that was the task. And so what I wrote was called Hidden by the Ramblings of Man, Nature's True Call. And what I wanted to do is I had to take an element. So in this case, the element was a picture of a lily pad. And the lily pad had a beautiful, ornate white flower. I'll post that here in just a few moments so you can see the image of that. I got to sort through. I'm not sure that I have it on this computer. It might be something that I have on my phone, but I'll either put it here if I can find it. If I can't put it up here, then I'll put it in my community page, and you'll be able to see this along with this particular poem that was published in, I think it was 2004, 2005. April 5th, 2005 was when this book was published. So it said, peering softly through the skin, a new life begins to emerge. The revelation at the ripe age of 3 means to draw to a close for the greater good. A product of energy, my goal is to sustain and breathe life to those that wish to preserve me. Then I open myself to criticism, inviting others to pass judgment on my character, the encumbrance of vivacity. As I leave, my desire is to remind you that my legacy lives on for others, to ensure that the cycle of life will persist. Now, the story, the title is hidden by the ramblings of man. So I am the artist, I am the writer. And what I wanted her to help me with is to be able to look at this and say, how can I write something that has a hidden purpose, a hidden meaning behind it? And so what we did is she came up with the idea of taking the last stanza of each of those lines to tell a secondary story about nature and its call to us. And the last stanza of every line reads like this: for the greater good, preserve me, the encumbrance of vivacity. Partake with me, persist. So my mom and I had a lot of philosophical discussions, deep discussions that were rooted in language and rooted in art and the expression, and helping me to understand the value of words, to understand the value of being able to share information and be able to share in the understanding of how to share and speak eloquently. She also gave me an opportunity to look at things in a different standpoint. And we haven't always seen eye to eye. And this is something that she has instilled with me, and we still do this to this day. Well, I guess it's just something that we're going to have to agree to disagree on. And ladies and gentlemen, I can't tell you enough that this is something in our society right now that just, God, man, we just don't do that. We just have a difficult time agreeing to disagree. And I have a firm belief in that because of the lady who's sitting on the other end of this, named Kay. She allowed for disagreements. She allowed me to disagree with her. She allowed me to have a different perspective. She allowed me the opportunity to say, I don't agree. I think that's wrong. Well, why? Explain. She was the reason that, now, this wasn't something specifically sat down and taught, but she's the one that said and basically instructed me that if you have a problem, come up with a solution, right? Fix it. Find a way to resolve it. Here's the mistakes that I've made, right? Don't make these. Well, how do I not make that? That's up to you to figure out. She gave me the opportunity to do stuff. There's a line in a movie, if you guys remember the movie Evan Almighty. You guys remember that? Right? Richard, or oh crap, what's his name? He played Mike from The Office. All right, movie folks. I'm terrible with names. What's his name? I can't remember his name. Anyway, he played Evan Almighty. And his wife was she had left because he was building the ark. And his wife was there, and God, who was played by Morgan Freeman, And then we're talking, and he said, let me ask you a question. If a person asks for patience, do you think God gives them patience, or do you think God gives them the opportunity for patience? If someone asks for peace, do you think God gives them peace, or do you think that God gives them the opportunity for peace? You know what my mom did? She gave me the opportunity for growth. She gave me the information that I needed. And Carol, thank you. Hi, Miss Gwen Crew. Happy Mother's Day to you, too. Um, she allowed me the opportunity to find those answers. She allowed me the opportunity. She let me make stupid mistakes. And this lady prayed for me all the time growing up. And I was a accident prone child. I cut my finger off, got road rash all up and down my side. I was always getting hurt. I went through a period of time where it was just, but she prayed protection over me. But she allowed me to make mistakes. She allowed me to falter. She allowed me to trip up. She allowed me to make some of the mistakes that she did. And then when I did it, she didn't cast judgment. She said, what did you learn? How does your mom? Your mom sounds amazing. My mom is amazing. um, but it's the important thing in this is that she still to this day consults me and says, "Hey, hey, what's up, perplexed? How you doing?" I urge caution in this, or pray about this, or think about this. Hey, Stackin's here. What's going on, Stackin? How you doing, brother?
How you doing, Frostbyte?
I am doing well. Thanks for coming up. What story you got for me?
I just wanted to say that Happy Mother's Day to all the moms today. And the only story I have is I actually made a video, so it's in that video. But it's a cute little story. My mom was really strict when I was growing up, and I had certain times I had to be in. And one night I didn't make it. It's the first night I'd ever experienced. Well, I started trying to mess with alcohol. I was 19, and I went to a friend's house to help him move, and he lived like three houses down from where my mom was, and we moved them to Virginia, which was about 100 miles from where we was at, and he had a hideaway couch, which is something I slept on many times when I was over at his house, but for some strange reason, the cushions had been pulled up and the bed part had been exposed. And after I got drunk, I fell down between the Hathaway bed, between the railings, and nobody could see me. So they loaded the bed or couch on the truck with me in it and carried me to Virginia. And I had never been there. So when about 6 hours later, I woke up and they had gone back to North Carolina to get another load. And I woke up in a strange house. And I had no idea where I was at.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. And my mom was freaking out because I had a cell phone, but it was one of those, you remember the old type phones that had the antenna on it?
Oh, yeah. Brick phone.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I had it in the car. My car was in the yard, and my mom was calling my phone, and I had it in the car. So the next thing she did was put out an all points bulletin with the cops. She was trying to find me. And when I woke up, I got up out of the couch and I started looking around, and nothing looked familiar to me. And the people evidently it was about 30 to 40 minutes later they came back. But, I stepped outside thinking, I'm going to just walk on to the house. That wasn't no deal. I didn't know where the hell I was. But they came back. I almost got shot in the process. They thought I was a burglar. But they ended up taking me home. And the worst thing out of the whole deal was having to tell my mom that I'd been drinking. If the expression on her face was the worst, because I never wanted, at that point, I never wanted my mom to be embarrassed by anything I did. So I tried to do everything I could to make her happy, you know, whether it
Oh,
be
I got you.
whatever I did. I didn't do anything to upset my mom. My mom did make a statement to me a few weeks back. It's really bothered me. She's been sick off and on. You know, she's having problems with dialysis and her blood. They can't get it right. Her iron levels won't stay where they need to be. But I asked her. I said, a lot of people that I know, their moms are not here. And she said that she's trying to spend as much time as she can with me today because she knows the lifestyle I lead that's not the Christian way, the way she would want me to live. So she's afraid that she won't see me after.
Oh, yeah. My mom and I have the same conversations.
So it really bothered me. And now I'm torn because I do want to see my mom again. But I want to spend as much time as I can with her while she's here. But it's just one of those things. Who cracking?
Well, he was like, you need to you have a podcast and tell your stories. Well, but see, here's the thing, and anybody knows my channel knows I love stories. I'm about storytelling. I like people to tell their stories. This is something I can sit in a room and listen to people, and I like to talk. Anybody who knows me know I like to talk. But if I sit in a room with people who have stories, I won't say a word. I want to listen. I want to hear. Because I love, like, this story here, drinking, 19 years old, you wake up in some house hours away from your house. Where am I?
Right.
There's other people that can relate to that. I got a story similar to that, but not quite as exciting. But we all have similar stories. So this is why I wanted people to come up and tell stories.
Well, when I was a child, my mom, most kids would get like when you go to school and you do something good, they put a star on your paper at school, and then so many stars you got for the week, it depended on what you would get at home. So mom would give me a Hot Wheel. Every time I got a star, I got a Hot Wheel. So that's how the Hot Wheels came into effect. So from age 5 until 57, I've been getting Hot Wheels. Mama gives me Hot Wheels every time she sees them. I have close to 10,000 Hot Wheels.
Whoa.
They've never been open. I do have some that are open, and I do buy some that are multiples so that I can open them. And yes, I do play with them. There's nothing like a Hot Wheel.
So I'm going to tell you right now, that doesn't surprise me in the least.
Well, I mean, I
didn't realize you had that many. That's crazy.
Yeah, it is. But it's just something. It's a hobby of mine. I've always kept up with it. I wish I could keep up with the silver like I do the cars. But if they started making cars out of silver, I would probably have a nice collection of silver cars.
All right, Ray. All right, you guys, all you silver pourers, you heard it. Start pouring silver Matchbox cars and
they got to roll.
Hot Wheels cars.
But yeah, see, I got Franklin Mint cars. I got the cars that you see at the truck stops. It don't necessarily have to be Hot Wheels. I prefer Hot Wheels. They don't take up so much room. But yeah, I got a bunch.
That's cool, dude.
Yeah.
And see, for me, my mom, she always got me. It was always photography or astronomy. She was always making sure that my photographic needs were met. So for me, it was they were far and few between. But
Right.
so like one story, oh man, there he is.
Yeah.
Um,
Woo-hoo. Lucky
so
you.
one day I was out hiking, and one thing I love to do is go into the mountains and walk the streams and take pictures about. Oh wow, that's cool.
Yeah, I got them hanging on my wall.
Wow,
Yeah. The whole house will end up being this way one day. And then I started making these boxes right here.
that's cool.
Yeah. Uh, but my fireplace the same way. I don't use the fireplace for what the fireplace is. I use it to put cars in.
That's one
Oh,
hot
yeah.
fireplace.
Here's the cracking. But anyway, I'm proud of my cars. I'm proud of being my mom's son.
That's cool, man. Yeah, talking about hiking in the canyons. Was taking some photos in one day, and my strap on my camera broken. Ended up in the water. It was old manual Rico, and I had it probably 6, 7 years. Like I had taken some amazing shots, learned a lot about photography with that particular camera. And when it went in the water, it ruined it. Just totally destroyed the camera. And I was absolutely heartbroken. And I remember Christmas rolling around, and it just there was nothing that was going to be like good for me because I was still kind of I mourned my camera. Like my camera was my life. I would go everywhere and shoot and take photos, and um, so I opened up a box, and it was a new camera, a new digital, real nice digital camera. And there are certain stories you remember. There are certain gifts you remember. Um, but to be able to say that you've been getting gifts from your mom for 50 years and you have every one of them and they're stored, that's cool. Like that's a cool story, right? You can look back at it and know which ones you got when, and that's a cool story, right? Those are the things that I like to know. Hey sis, my sis just became a member. Thank you, sis. I appreciate you. Love you bunch. Hey Cash Money, what's up? How you doing? Man, I got some OGs in the house. Y'all are great. Thanks for coming up and spending time with me, and celebrating mom on Mama's Day. Um, but anyway, I wanted to tell. So Kraken told this story. Now this didn't involve my mom. It involved my grandma and my aunt. But you were talking about drinking.
Yeah.
I was 15 years old, and I was going to a party, and we were going to go up into the canyons, and we were going to go camping. It was a full weekend. It was all said and done, and I got my uncle and a buddy of mine to go buy some alcohol. And I had, just they were just, little pints. It wasn't nothing major. But I had bottles of absinthe and vodka and rum, and I had like 4 or 5 bottles. There were like 12 kids going. We were going to go up there, have some drinks, sleep up in the canyon, hike and do whatever, and just be kids, right? Just do what kids do. So I packed all this stuff up Thursday night, rolled it up, stuck the sleeping bag in my room, and I went to school. And I came home and I went, where's my sleeping bag? So I went upstairs, and I lived in Utah. Okay, that's going to be key to this story. I lived in Utah. And I went upstairs. I was like, hey, Grandma, we're getting ready to go camping. Where's my sleeping bag? She goes, oh, I gave it to your aunt. And I was like, you gave it, which aunt? It's like, Carol. It's like, why'd she need the sleeping bag? Well, she's going on that Mormon mission trek thing and needed a sleeping bag. So my aunt is LDS, Latter Day Saints, Mormon.
Da, 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 da.
So she got there and rolled it out. When she rolled the sleeping bag out, it went clank, 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 clank. So she's up there with a bunch of church ladies, and there's like 4 pints of liquor in the bottom of her sleeping bag. And she reached out and she's like, "All right, ladies, we got a party." She goes, "I think I got the wrong bag." Well,
The anointing will start.
needless to say, this young boy had a heart attack and was just like about to die. And on Tuesday, and I'll never forget, it was like 3:55 in the afternoon. School had just got done. I came home. I walked in the house. I grabbed myself something to drink, walked downstairs, and on my bed is a sleeping bag with a note. "Talk to your grandma when you get home." And I was like, "No, no." And I ran upstairs and I went to sneak out. My granddad was like, "Hey, what's up, son?" And I was like, "Hi, Grandpa." He's like, "Hey, come here for a minute." And he's looking at me and he's sat in the side. He's sitting there and he's got his like little button shirt and he's got his smokes in his pocket. And he reaches in, he smoke Lucky Strikes, and he grabbed one. He says, "You need one?" He says, "You might by the time you're done. Because when your grandma and your aunt get home, they want to talk to you." And he just smiled. I was like, "Can I please leave? Can I please go?" And he's like, "No, I want to hear this." And so
Wow.
we sat there and I just looked at him, and it was I think there were only 2 times I ever smoked a cigarette with my grandfather. One when I came back from the Navy, and one when it was that day. And he's like, "You might as well wrap it up as a whole." And him and I sat there, we sat in the kitchen, smoked a cigarette. I was 15, 16 years old, right? And he said, "All right." He says, "Now we've done the full gamut. They'll be back from the store here in just a minute." And they walked in and I looked at her. My Aunt Carol goes, "All right, I'm going now. How was your weekend?" I was like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry." And she's like, "No, we got a big laugh out of it. They knew what was going on. Obviously, they dumped everything out. They didn't bring the alcohol back."
Right.
But yeah, so it was fun. But again, my mom didn't chastise me or ridicule me. My grandma laid into me pretty good, but my mom didn't chastise or ridicule me. She just looked at me. She's like, "Really? Really? Like, seriously, who are you going with?" But again, my mom allowed me to make mistakes. We talked about some of the stuff, and I'm not going to go into. She was a child of the '70s, and it was a different world back then. But she can tell you some stories about playing poker for the house in Vegas. And hey, Mom, what's that pit boss's name? There's stories about this guy, and he basically told my mom, "Hey, you're too nice of a person. You need to leave. Like, you shouldn't be in this world." She's got some fun stories. I wish she would come up and tell a couple of these stories. I think she's purposefully not doing it. But my mom, like I said, my mom gave me the opportunity to make mistakes. So I say all of that, one, because it's a great story, but two, because you have this amazing collection of cars that you will always be ever able to look at and go, my mom never she never stopped. right? This is her thing for you. You always have that. Your mom will forever live. Every time you see a Matchbox car, every time you see a Hot Wheel, anytime you see some sort of icon die cast model, the memory of your mom and her generosity to you will forever live. And I think that
Oh yeah.
stuff is cool.
Oh yeah.
You
It
know,
is. I mean, when I go, well, anywhere I go. It doesn't matter. As soon as I see it, the very first thing that pops in my head was the very first memory of my mom handing me one of the cars.
oh
Every
yeah,
time I
that's
relive
cool.
it, it's a good relive moment. You know.
Yeah. Where
I
is
love
your first car?
my first car is in that case.
And the one in
It's
the
they're the ones
fireplace?
that I did open as I was growing up.
Yeah. Oh well, I mean, yeah,
Uh,
obviously, one of the first ones. You
before I
were a kid. You
realized
were playing with it.
before I realized, how much they're worth if they're not open. But the ones that I've had, the ones that are in the case with the beside of the ones that are hanging, are the ones that my mom gave me. That's the reason they're in the case.
Hey, vote for Pedro. Thanks for being here, brother. That's another guy, folks. He is kind and generous as they come. So thank you for the support of the channel. Vote for Pedro. Appreciate you being here. And happy Mother's Day to you and yours. So be well and be blessed. But yeah, Kraken, it's I had Star Wars stuff. Like my mom gave me an original stormtrooper and some of the Imperial Guards and Han Solo and the little robot that was the box that was found in the Jawa's hut.
Yeah.
Um, so I had all of those and opened and played and destroyed every one of them.
Oh wow.
So you look back and you look at him now and like the little stormtrooper with the gun, that's like a $10,000 toy if
Oh,
you
I
have
know.
it in the original package.
Now, you ain't got to tell me. I know.
And so I look back and go, oh my God, I had all of those. You remember the Millennium Falcon that you had to put together?
Oh yeah, the Millennium Falcon, the freaking Empire Strikes Back,
Yep.
everything.
You push the button and make right
Yeah.
sounds, and you had the blaster sounds, and the back lit up and it had all the lights that went back through, and it had the battery cage where you push the button and the gun dropped out and went do 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 do, and then it came back up. I had one, destroyed it. We would throw it and fly it into the bed and just totally destroyed it. That's a $50,000 toy now.
Yeah, it's
So
terrible how much they all.
yeah.
Everything you
So
took for granted as a child is worth millions today.
well, but here's the thing. We were kids. We played, and we played hard, right?
But if you think about what choices did you have? I mean, it wasn't like you could go in the house and watch 500 different channels on TV. It was either play with your toys outside
We had four.
or just fiddle your thumbs.
We had 2, 4, 5, and channel 30 or 13. One was PBS. Oh, sweet. Star Destroyer.
Yeah, Mass Man Metals. I got him to make me a couple of these. He did
3D
really good
printed?
work. Huh?
3D printed?
Yeah. It's just as good as the original. After I paint it, it'll look even better. I mean, he also made me the Enterprise. And he just got through making, I don't know if you remember it, but it used to be a cartoon on television of the Yamato in space.
Yeah. Yeah. That and Voltron.
Yeah.
Thundercats.
Yeah, well, this
Yeah.
ship is 3 foot long that he just made, and he's shipping it to me this week.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty good size. It's full size. So,
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'll be happy when it gets here. He said it was a whole bunch of pieces because I told him I wanted to put it together. So that was the only way you could ship it anyway.
And that was Maskman Metals?
Yes.
I might
Maskman
have to
Metals.
reach out to him for one of those Star Cruisers because those are cool.
See, here's the. Get the
Oh, yeah. That's the original Enterprise.
yep.
So, okay, I have to ask, are you Star Trek, Star Wars, or both?
Both.
Okay, so you're like me. You're a true nerd.
Yeah, I'm a true nerd. I mean, see, I have models.
I like science.
Uh, but you know, Mary, she likes Barbie dolls, so I try to buy her, you know, Barbie dolls. I get them from wherever she wants them. I get them for. Some of them are right pricey.
Oh,
Barbie
yeah.
dolls.
Some of those things are extremely pricey, especially the, oh my God, my daughter would kill me if I don't remember this. Barbie's youngest sister. Oh, I can't remember her name, but there's the little ones those are expensive. I can't see that. What is that? Hold on, let me make it big. Dragon.
Yeah, got a body, a carcass laying here. There's a sword and a girl getting ready to pick up I mean, it's a whole scene, and Massman Metals made it.
That's really cool. So Des Logic, you and I are like right on line. I was just about to ask if he had any of Battlestar.
Now, Kevin made me a Battlestar Galactica out of silver. It's a silver pole. It's not a full size, about the size of a Hot Wheel. But I did get him to make me one.
Skipper, there you go, Des Logic. Thank you. Yes. So the original Skipper doll is extremely expensive.
And then
My daughter
just
collected Barbies when she was younger.
I just acquired this. This is a Boba Fett model.
That's cool. My daughter
Yeah.
would love that. She's all about models and putting Star Wars memorabilia together.
Well, if y'all got a what do you call it? What's the name of that place I got it from? Ollie's. You ever heard of Ollie's?
No.
Ollie's is like a department store, sort of like Rose's or, you know, real small chain. It's an old guy that sits out in front. They're $12.99 for the model. Some of those ships I got back there I bought from Ollie's. But yeah, if you can Google them and it'll show you. You'll know what it is then.
That's cool. Well, Des Logic, tell your wife I said thank you. Yeah, she taking off. Talk with you later. I'm proud to be your mom. Thanks, Mom. Love you a bunch. Appreciate you being in here. Again, folks, I'm the man I am today because of that woman right there. So happy Mother's Day, Mom. Love you a bunch. So, and I appreciate you guys coming in and hanging out with me today, where we're not talking coins. Now, we obviously have ended up talking about collectibles, but all relation to our moms and what moms have done. But that's really cool. I'm going to have to reach out to Maskman because there's some.
Man, he's really good, and he's real fair on prices.
That's cool.
You just tell him what you want, what you're looking for. He'll tell you everything up front.
Very cool.
And he's really, you know, his time frame. You know, he really don't. You know, whenever. You know, he'll make it, and if you ain't got the money when he's got it done, he'll wait until you do. So.
Yeah,
But
it's
yeah,
really cool. There's a lot of.
I ain't seen but a couple of things that he hasn't been able to make, and it's only because he couldn't get a pattern for it. But other than that, I mean, he made a whole lot of stuff for me that I just gave away. I gave away 3 chests that were made. Let me see. I got one myself that he made for me, and it has to do with the Kraken. Where did I put it? That's the thing. Keeping up with the. Here we go. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to keep up the time. I try to burn someone else's time.
No, it's all right. Again, folks, that the link is pinned. You're more than welcome to come on up. We're going to be up here for about another 20 minutes. And then we're going to be sending everybody over to Coin Crew. Miss Coin Crew, are you guys streaming today? The octopi.
Yeah. And it's well, I'm trying to open it. I don't know if I can open it or not. I could open it. I filled it up with change.
Okay, yeah, we'll be sending everybody over to Coin Crew at the end of this. I figured you guys would, but I wanted to make certain.
Oh, yeah. It's full. It's full. It's like a pirate's chest. It's full of stuff. I got the bracelets, just like you find underwater. And see, here's my cracking channel around.
That's cool.
So yeah, and then I got these big boys. I don't even know if they're worth anything. I just throw them in here. But yeah, here's that thing I was showing you too. Frostbyte.
And what is that?
It's the gold stamps.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, see, there's not a lot of people that like stamps anymore. I love them because of their stories, but not a lot of people collect them. Unfortunately, their values are absolutely tanking. So people who spend a lot of money on them are losing their butts in stamps. But
yeah, I don't know that much about them. I came across them, and somebody said in a stream one time that you were into that.
yeah, absolutely enjoy them. The problem is that, 10, 15 years ago, a $200 stamp is worth like $9 now. So, Grim Reaper?
No, it's actually the Reapers that are from that movie, not Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings. You know, the ones that fly with the dragon. They're the ones that's actually trying to catch Frodo with the ring and trying to take it away from him.
Oh, the 12 Dead Kings of Men.
Yeah, it's one of those guys. It's pretty hefty. But like I said, Maximilian Metal's one you want to talk to. But I'm gonna get down so somebody else get a chance to pop up.
Well, thanks for showing some of your collection and kind of talking about what your mom's done for you.
Oh yeah, my mom totally got me interested in collecting stuff. I mean, now she's she don't have a whole lot of stuff at her home, but I mean, she's not a hoarder or anything like that. She has a certain taste for things, and usually once she keep it for 3 or 4 months, she gives it to us. So, I mean, that's just the way she is.
My sister would laugh because my mom's very much the same way. She has her few items, and then it's like, hey, do you want this? Hey, I have this. Do you want this? Hey, I have this. Do you want this?
Yeah, exactly. And my mom, she draws. Like for instance, you said something about a poem with the lily pad and the white flower.
Yeah.
My mom actually draws those on like if you wanted to put it on a card, she would draw it on a postcard. And then you just put the words in behind it.
Oh, so that's really cool.
So, and she likes drawing birds. So she'll take pictures of birds outside, and then she takes her camera and sets it up in front of her, and she draws that bird on the paper. It's pretty cool just to watch her do it. But anyway.
So let me see if I can share Uh, let's see if I can do this. I'm not sure that I can do that. It's not going to let me do that. Hold on just a second. Let me see if I can do. Actually, you know what? I might be able to do this. Let me try this. That's the photo that I was talking about.
The one with the flower.
Yeah. So that was the picture of the lily that I took that I
Wow.
actually wrote that piece off of.
I hear you.
So
Pretty wild.
yeah, and then I've got, so there's some of my lightning stuff when I talk about um, being a fan of lightning and taking a lot of lightning photography.
Have
So,
you ever tried to go and find where lightning struck the ground?
yeah. When we were younger, actually, story about my mom, we lived in Iowa and she told me to move away from a window and, whoops, told me to move away from a window because we had a really bad thunderstorm going on.
Yeah.
And she pulled me back. And just seconds after she pulled me back, there was a bam.
Yeah.
And when we went out in the morning, the tree right outside of my window was split and burnt. Lightning had hit right outside my window.
Wow.
Like literally right outside my window. Split the tree, burned it. My ex-wife and I were driving. We were chasing storms, and got into a really bad dry lightning and windstorm. I think my sister Leah, she's in the chat. She probably remember that. I've got the photo, but I don't have it. I don't think I have it in that set. But there was this monster bolt of lightning that crossed across the sky, and there's a Novell building in Utah, and it crossed and hit right behind the Novell building, and I'm sitting right behind 30-foot high poles, and you can see this bolt, and it just like the pole is like this big, and the lightning's huge. And I was like, "Oh, that's so cool!" So we pulled out from underneath the awning, the what's
Yeah.
it called, the bridge, right?
Yeah.
And lightning hit the top of our car.
Wow.
We drove. We got home. As soon as we turned off the car started smoking. All the electronics were fried. The frame around the front windshield was melted. It was a Dodge
lucky.
Stratus. Yeah, it totally destroyed the car. So have I been around it and seen it? Actually seen where it struck? Uh-huh.
But I mean, in
Yeah.
the sense that I watched a movie one time and they showed where when lightning hits the ground, it can crystallize the dirt, and you can
Yeah.
dig it up and sell it.
I'll show
I just-
you. Oh, I haven't seen that.
It's pretty wild what lightning does after the after effect. It's pretty wild. Of course, lightning in itself is pretty wild. It's really cool to watch, but it's you're hoping nobody gets hurt.
I am fascinated by lightning. Lightning is one of those things that I absolutely love. But again, my mom was the person who allowed me to experiment with that. And she would take me before I had a license to drive, and we would drive out. We would sit up in the foothills of Utah, and take pictures over the canyon, over the valley, and do some really cool stuff. Some of the photographs.
You got one of them things, don't you, where you stick your finger up to it and the lightning gets stronger around your finger, don't you?
So like one of my favorite lightning photos, and and this hasn't been edited. This was actually taken with a film camera, where the front was coming in. So here's where the storm was coming into. It was coming in from the south, and this is where the storm was, which was really dark blue, and then this is where the storm was moving into, and you could see that kind of fire and ice. Well, if you think about my icon, right, that Frostbyte icon, silver and gold, fire and ice. This was I've seen that all through my life. But when you look, so like we've seen places where lightning hits the ground, and I haven't seen it turn the sand into glass and stuff like that. I know people have seen it at the beach and found stuff where it's turned things into glass, but I have seen where it's hit the road, because when I say I traveled for storms, like I followed storms all through monsoon and all sorts of stuff, and tracking and trying to find photographs like this. There's another one here. It's a bunch of different stuff. That's my favorite picture right there.
Pretty.
Yeah. So, but I've got another one. It's in here somewhere. I got to find it. Maybe. Where is it? There it is. So this one I took walking outside my door. I set my camera up, and this is, for those of you who are familiar with Utah, that Kennecott copper mine, which sits in the bottom corner. I used to live like just a few miles from it. And I set my camera up and I pushed the button because I never take my camera outside to film lightning without it filming. And so I turned my camera, pushed it, walked inside, and the house just rattled. I never saw the lightning bolt. I was hoping I had caught it, but this was the lightning strike that I caught. Now, it's really blurred out because of the light and the screen capture, but you can see the detail in the lightning bolt. It's all the way through that. And then it forked and did whatever. But one of the biggest lightning bolts I've ever captured. So I love storms. My vacation, I wanted to do storm chasing, follow tornadoes, and I've put in a request. I was denied, but when I worked with the Air Force years ago, put in a request to fly in a C-130 mission when they do hurricane stuff and do observations for wind. I love storms. I probably should have been a meteorologist. But my mom always supported my hobbies, always supported what I did. And she would take me to the planetarium. She would take me to go shoot photos. She would drive me up into the canyons. She connected me with people who were friends of ours that were great photographer. And she was really good. So again, I wanted to honor my mom as part of the discussion for today. But again, just to give people like you opportunity to come up, tell your stories. We got a few more minutes. If somebody wants to come up, please, sis, if you want to come up and say hi, you can come up and say hi. But again, if not, we're going to go ahead and wrap things up. I'm going to put in Coin Cruise link. This is the link to Coin Cruise auction. They'll be going on at 10:45 my time, 11:45 Eastern. Go check them out. They got some good stuff. I'm going to be popping in and out. We've got some lunch plans for mom today. Well, my wife, mom today with the kids. So we'll go be doing that. And then today's going to be her day. So you probably won't see me online much today. But
Well, I hope you have a good one, Mother's Day. I wish your mom and whoever a happy Mother's Day.
thanks, Kraken. I appreciate you coming up, sharing your stories, and
Appreciate you having
sharing
me.
some of your collection. That's cool.
Thank you. Don't
See you
forget
in
to
the
get in touch
streams,
with Mass
All right.
Man. Bye-bye.
See you later, brother. All right, folks. Well, I'm going to give it just a couple more minutes. If somebody else wants to come up, please go ahead. It's pinned up at the top. You're more than welcome to come up and tell stories. If not, I'm going to go ahead and be wrapping this up here in just a minute. Again, we are here because our moms brought us into the world. There's this thing about knowledge and acceptance and learning from the wisdom of our elders. And you may not be in a situation where your parents were as engaged. You may be in a situation where you had surrogate parents, or maybe you lived with grandparents. And a lot of us can relate to some of those scenarios. I've been blessed to have a mom who, when things got bad for us, allowed me the opportunity to go to a safe place. So my mom sacrificed a hell of a lot to make sure that I was taken care of. And I owe her a debt of gratitude that can never be repaid. Doesn't matter what I do for her. Doesn't matter the call out, the videos, the telephone calls, the financial support, whatever it might be. I can never do enough to support and sustain the debt that I owe my mom for everything that she gave up and sacrificed to make sure that I was taken care of. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I bid you a fond adieu today. I hope you have a wonderful and blessed Mother's Day. Get over to Coin Crew. Go check them out. Again, that link is pinned there. Go get your coffee, top off. Again, just a special thank you to everybody who threw in a super chat. Tiger Stacker threw out 10 gifted memberships earlier in the stream. Hopefully you were one of those that got them. Tiger also dropped 2 super chats for $10 a piece. Thank you so much for that. Rockzilla dropped a 10. Stacking with Kraken dropped a couple. And my sister joined as a member. So for those of you who dropped something in today, I thank you. I appreciate you. I do appreciate all the love and support that you show the channel. But again, today, it's all about mom. So if your mom's alive, give her a call. Tell her you love her. Thank her for everything that she's done. If she's not, say a prayer. Remember, talk about the good times. Talk about the good stuff that happened. Remember the bad times and what did you glean and what did you learn from them? Because there's a lot of lessons that we can take from the stuff that happens in the past if we allow ourselves to look at what good can come from the bad. All right, folks. Love y'all. Take care. Be well.